Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Breifne Earley and you're listening to What's On here on the podcast. Now, it is a relatively quiet week across the entertainment sector in the county, although we do have some heavy hitters with the Breifne players back in action this week. They are in the dock from Tuesday 25th of February to Saturday night the 29th of February with their version of Juno and the Paycock. Now, we will have a full interview with the director Angus Dunn of the Breifne Players, an absolute stalwart of the organisation in Carrick-on-Shannon. We'll be talking to him tomorrow on Kiss My Arts. So if you're into drama and you're into amateur drama, particularly in the Carrick-on-Shannon area and with the Breifne Players, you should check that out on tomorrow's show. I'll also be talking to the famous Frankie Gavin, who plays the dock tonight with Paddy Keenan and Dermot Byrne, collectively known as KGB. I promise they're not Russian spies, but they will entertain you with their traditional Irish music. Frankie, of course, of Danann fame. We'll be getting into all of that in a couple of moments later in the show. Johnny Brady is in the Landmark Central tonight. Always an entertaining evening and well worth a trip into Carrick-on-Shannon if you're in the surrounding area to get a good night's country music and jiving. One of the best entertainers on the circuit locally. Johnny, always a good night out. Hope anyone who's going along to that, hope you enjoy the night. It's a quiet weekend in the Glen Centre in Manor Hamilton this weekend, although Michelle Cahill is there with her play 13 Steps to the Attic next Friday night, while we'll be hearing on next week's show from Pearly, who play there next Saturday night. Fantastic dream pop music. I'm not quite sure what dream pop is, but we're going to hear all about it on next week's show when I chat to Sarah May of Pearly about what they have coming to the Glen Centre next Saturday night. Tomorrow at 11:30 in Rooski Community Centre sees the Rooski Heritage Festival's annual pancake party, and that of course is tomorrow morning, Sunday, February 23rd, after Mass in the Rooski Community Centre. Well worth checking out and supporting what is always a fantastic festival around the area. It's a big day for sport tomorrow afternoon with all of our major inter-county teams in action. We have our footballers taking to the field against Offaly. They play in Park Sean McDermott at 2 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, while the hurlers make the short journey to Markovitz Park in Sligo to take on the hosts there in their National Hurling League Round 3 encounter. While the ladies also in their third game in their National League campaign, it's gone fairly well so far for them, but they will be looking to keep it 3 wins from 3 as they travel to Cooley to play Louth in their Division 4 clash. So all in all, a quiet enough weekend. Of course, to catch up on all the other sport that's happening over the weekend, you can of course check out everything here on our sports preview show put up yesterday onto the podcast. But let's take a look back at the conversation I had ahead of tonight's gig in the dock with Frankie Gavin, of course a former member of Danann and playing in County Leitrim this weekend. Now, it's not that often that in Leitrim we get luminaries coming to visit and to perform here who have impressed such people as the President of the country, Ronnie Wood, and even Prince Albert of Monaco. But that's exactly what one member of KGB who played the dock on Saturday night, you can hear his voice there. Frankie Gavin, formerly of Danann, of course, you're in Leitrim this weekend. You're very welcome to this part of the world.
Thank you very much, Breifne. Thank you very much. Looking forward to it, yeah.
Now, obviously, people will know you from Danann and everything that comes with that, but can you tell us a bit about KGB, who you are, and what people can expect in the dock on Saturday night?
Well, first of all, I think it's a terrible name, by the way.
Yeah, it does have certain connotations.
It certainly does. I'll tell you a few places that we won't be going to with the band. Let's put it that
Moscow,
way. Anyway.
St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and maybe even Washington, D.C. But anyway. Oh, no, we might be quite welcome there, come to think of it. But no, I think KVG would be a far better title. But having said all that, we got together a couple of years ago, Dermot and Paddy and myself, and that's Paddy Keenan, Dermot Byrne and myself. And it's an unusual mixture because it's pipes, fiddle and accordion, which you hardly ever normally hear that combination of, and where you have no accompaniment whatsoever. So it brings a different discipline to the music for us. And when I use the word discipline, I mean I use it cautiously, but it just gives some of us opportunity to colour in the picture a bit more with harmonising and doing counter melodies and stuff like that. So it's an enjoyable mixture, and basically, and essentially, it's old traditional tunes that we're kind of digging out of the ashes and giving a new hearing to, because a lot of traditional music nowadays, reaches more into the newer compositions by younger people who seem to be writing a lot of their own music and stuff like that, and they're kind of steering away from the old traditional stuff, which is a pity in one way, but that's what we are trying to do as well on the night and on the gig. So it's an enjoyable outing.
So of course yourself, Dermot Byrne and Paddy Keenan make up the group, the initials obviously where the name comes from. Can you tell us a bit about the origin of the band and I suppose where the three of you came from?
Well, a man called Brian McDade, who's the manager, he's from Tullamore, and he came up with the idea, and it's, as I say, he came up with the idea, and so we kind of ran with it to see what the fuss might be about, and sure enough, it's going down very well with the crowds, and we've done several gigs at this stage. I mean, we've been at it for the last couple of years, really. So it won't be our first outing when we get to Carrick on Saturday night.
Of course, the Dock is quite a small, intimate venue, just over 100 seats.
It's lovely, yeah.
Do you have a preference for a type of venue you get to play? Would you prefer kind of big, loud, raucous, everybody up singing, dancing, or is a sit-down venue like the Dock just that little bit more intimate?
Well, I think the intimate thing is nice because people can actually get to hear the music without noise of pubs and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of people go into pubs to hear essentially free Irish music, which is fine, but that's in the pubs, and it's not very comfortable, and a lot of people won't go to pubs to hear traditional music, because of that. So when they get into a nice, comfortable theatre, nice surroundings, and that has its own appeal, and has its own appeal to a certain kind of audience as well. But so we're hopefully that's the type of listening audience that we're appealing to. So that's the way to hear it is in a nice theatre like the Dock,
Of course, you were awarded Traditional Musician of the Year 2018 at Gradam Ceoil Awards. How much do individual awards like that mean at your stage of your career? Because when you're up and coming, you want all those kind of accolades and you get a little bit of a kick from it. Do you still get a bit of a kick from that sort of personal award?
Of course. I mean, it's a lovely honour to receive, and it's nice to be thought of, and it shows that people are listening or paying heed to what you've done or achieved and so on. And, of course, it's a wonderful honour. And roll on, give us a few more of them if they're going.
Well, obviously, we're always looking for more awards. In terms of the Danann, we mentioned at the start, obviously, there's a long history there, friendships, breakups, the whole lot that goes with it.
Sadly, of course, we lost Alec Finn there. Last November, 12 months, and but Alec and I got to do an album together. We had been estranged for 12 years, maybe 14, which was an awful shame. But I was delighted that it all came around full circle, and that we got back together, and we picked up where we left off 14 years earlier, breaking our sides, laughing and playing tunes, and having the odd scoop here and there, and giving out.
You must have some serious stories from the road, Frankie.
Oh my God, yes. And somebody was saying, like, you should be writing these down and all. So I kind of started trying to write a sort of just make a note. I wouldn't call it an autobiography, but I might get somebody else to sort of write that up for me. But it's amazing when you start thinking of different events and extraordinary gigs and occasions throughout your career. It's amazing what you'll remember. And so it's fun, you know what I mean? It's been an extraordinary life so far, and roll on more of it. It's great to be out playing and being the fullness of a person's health. We have a lot to be thankful for, so it's very enjoyable.
What moments, kind of when you look back, stand out to you as just kind of either pivotal or just memorable moments of your career? Obviously there's dozens if not hundreds, but are there any one or two that just kind of come to the top of the memory bank when you're looking for
Okay, well, I think the first earliest Danann, extraordinary memory, was playing at a rock festival somewhere in Denmark to about 40,000 people. That was amazing. We were playing between Ian Jury and the Blockheads and, God, I don't know, who was the other? I can't remember the other act, but I mean, we were actually sandwiched in the middle of these huge bands, at a rock festival. But we managed to rock the audience as well, which was nice. That was one particular event that I'll never forget. The other one was the first time I met Stefan Grappelli, the great jazz fiddle player, who spent most of his life living in Paris. But he came to Ireland to do some gigs, and I met him, and we wound up doing some gigs together called Jigs and Jazz, and that was a real privilege to have worked with him. He was such a extraordinary gentleman. And then last but not least, I did a couple of gigs with the Rolling Stones and recorded with them. I met them in Uachtarard in Galway, and they were recording an album called Voodoo Lounge, and they asked me would I play some pieces on it, and I said you're joking, right? I thought they had a few too many taken or something. But anyway, I wound up doing it. It was recorded in Windmill Lane in Dublin. So just to name a few extraordinary events live in the career of the traditional music, those are just a handful or less.
Well, listen, Frankie, if you let me know where I can pre-order that memoir, I'm all over it. I'm really looking forward to reading it already. The very best luck to you and the lads in the dock on Saturday evening. Thanks very much for taking our call, and hopefully it'll be a great night for everybody, yourself and the audience included, on Saturday night on the dock.
Thank you very much, Breifne. We'll give it all we've got.
And that, folks, is it for the weekend. Short and sweet this week, but just wanted to get a show out so that you could get a little taste of what's happening around the county. Low in quantity, but very, very high in quality, as people are looking forward to getting back to school maybe on Monday morning. That's it from me today. I'll be back tomorrow with a conversation with Angus Dunn of the Breifne Players ahead of their performance into the week next week. Juno and the Paycock playing from Tuesday to Saturday in the Dock Theatre. Get your tickets early because it will sell out. Only about 15 or 20 tickets when I sat down with Angus on Thursday morning. Well worth going along to see, and make sure you get your tickets nice and early. Don't be disappointed. I'll be back tomorrow with that chat with Angus, with the sport on Monday, and of course back for What's On again next Thursday on the podcast. Talk to you then.